Sure.
Lizelle, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I like it too.
I am also wearing a
Oh,
shirt.
non-existent company.
Oh, I still get compliments on those shirts whenever I wear them. Like my well-read one, I always get compliments. Yeah,
I do too.
Me too.
I live in them.
Let me see. Why is it not showing up? Can't tell if we're live or not.
We are.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, if you're here watching. Welcome to the Between the Covers Book Club Special Edition. This one, we are just going to gush about Starting Line. Please be respectful because you know that the author is here, if you didn't already know that. So don't say your star rating just because we don't want reviews are for reviewer or for readers, not necessarily for the author. So we just want to keep it respectful. Obviously, we all loved it. That's why we're all here. But if you didn't, please don't say that. Just to keep it respectful for Michae. We don't want her to go off and say, I'm never writing another book in my life.
I mean, hey, it is what it is.
But yes, so we're here to talk about Starting Line, following two fictional Olympians, TJ and Caleb. Tuesday, or Monday, as Caleb liked to call her. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead. We'll start with Lizelle and go up to and we'll end with Michae, and just say like your favorite part of the book and what you are looking forward to with the next book of Michae's to come out.
Well, I would say my favorite part of Starting Line is when Caleb had a big competition and he called TJ because he was so nervous, and she helped him get out of that funk.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Solid.
That's one of my favorites too.
And the thing I'm excited about is her next book in the Whispering Nothing series.
Yes, I think we all are. All right, Cheyenne.
The entire book. I think my favorite part, my favorite scene, definitely has to be during the Olympics. I think that moment where I don't want to like plan this. Well,
yeah, we're in the non-spoiler part. We'll get to spoilers later.
Okay, during the Olympics, just say that. And yeah. I like his little like not very serious moments where he would, push her to the other side of the road, like when they were walking. Like he just was very intentional with like spoiling her and taking care of her, but without it being like this flamboyant thing that he made known and everybody had to see. It was just like hidden hidden thoughtfulness that I really loved about him. So.
All right. And then Michae. What's your favorite scene to write?
To write, definitely, I think was TJ's birthday scene out at the bar. I loved that. I thought, like, that was one that I was really excited to write the entire time that I'd plotted it, because I had seen it in my head, like, a lot longer than the process, or, like, before I actually started writing. So, like, that was just exciting to get to that scene, and also because that's kind of the first time that they are kind of finding middle ground. I feel like they kind of found it a little bit earlier, but the first time where they're both just kind of like comfortable with each other. And I don't know, I like writing bar and club scenes, even though I like hate bars and clubs for some reason.
You're good at writing those scenes.
I agree. I like reading them. I feel like there's just like this next level tension, especially like when she's out dancing with somebody else. I'm like, oh, make him jealous.
And he got so jealous.
Yeah, it's
and
just
his friend called him out on it. That was so good.
Yeah, it's a fun atmosphere to play with out at places like that in a scene. And I just love that scene between them, just like kind of the playfulness that she gets to bring out a little bit.
I think that's my favorite scene. Like, I mean, I love the whole book, obviously, but I think that the bar scene is my favorite, just because you get that little hint of jealousy, and then, and you see her kind of like opening up a little bit, not just being so driven.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not doing that.
Your fourth child is
Being ridiculous.
But yeah, so we're just gonna kind of do non-spoilery thoughts about the book. If you have any in the comments, let us know. I mean, we've kind of all talked about, like, but yeah, I want to say I did notice, Michae, that obviously I know you love the Off Balance series, and Rhea's least favorite thing was least favorite was the beam, and you made TJ's. Did you do that intentionally? Like, make it that was her favorite because of the Off Balance series and like how much Rhea hated it, or was it always kind of?
No, I think it was the part where like Caleb is asking TJ like why balance beam, and she's kind of like because everyone else kind of hated it and I wanted to kind of be the one to like make it my own, and how he's kind of like I never pegged you as a contrarian like that. I saw that scene earlier on in my head. And I personally like watching beam, like out of all of gymnastic events, bars and beam are my two favorite to watch. So I wanted her to either kind of like have one of those two as her specialty, and then it just kind of ended up being beam. But yeah, obviously I have my little time right there to Off Balance. So
Yeah, I was reading it. I was like, I wonder if she did that purposely because of the fact that Rhea hated it so much and you wanted it to be different. But yeah.
And I also thought that would be easier to write for me just because those are my two favorite events, where like floor is like by far my least favorite. So I was like, I don't really want to do that because I don't really want to have to write like detailed floor routines. And then vaults are so quick, like they're over and done with really fast. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, now we can get into spoilers because I will say I was shocked at how you had TJ's time at the Olympics end. Like, I mean, rare. It's very rare. So if you are here and haven't read it and want to leave, we appreciate you being here. Thank you. But when you had her fall, and I mean, I feel like so often with like sports romances, they always win. It's always they get the gold medal, they win the championship. But had you always planned on her falling, or was that?
Yeah, that was the scene that like the entire book spawned from in my head, was an image of like a gymnast falling, or like our heroine falling, and then our hero watching it in live time when he's about to go on to his own event and like not being able to go and like be with her in that. So yeah, that was from the very beginning. She was going to fall. Yeah, and that was something that like I never second guessed either when I was doing it. Because it felt right for her story. And I don't obviously like romance always ends with a happy ending, but I like a little bit of emotional damage. And even though this isn't like emotional damage, I just didn't want everything to like tie up in a perfect bow.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because it is like, it's different enough from like because I mean, I feel like every sports romance you read, they always win, they always get the gold. And that one, she didn't. I mean, he still had his shining moments, but
yeah, I can't remember. It's there's one of Elle Kennedy's books. Is it The Risk? Where one of them like doesn't win the championship or something too. And I remember reading that and like I felt like gutted because I was like, oh my god, they were like working up. I guess that was kind of a spoiler for whichever book, but I don't actually remember. I think it might have been that one. And I liked in that one.
One of her books. I think it's not the off-campus, but the other series.
Briar You, yeah.
But I think that shows like a realism to it, because you can work really hard and you're not always going to get there, but that doesn't mean that you're not succeeding at the same time.
Hi, Sam.
So,
I mean, I kind of guessed something was going to happen because she was going on about how her body was breaking down, so it kind of foreshadowed it a bit for me, but I was still shocked when it happened, but not totally. because you kind of see it happening.
I was shocked. I mean, I knew he would win because he was confident. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna win." Like, we know you're gonna win.
What got me was Caleb's reaction when he saw her fall, and he had the competition with his dad's best friend / coach. That's what made me emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, I could cry thinking about it. That whole scene was just his relationship with his coach too. I swear I could just feel it. I mean, it's like you were there experiencing it.
Yeah.
And your heart breaks for him and like not having his dad, but also like gratefulness that he has somebody and he has this like village that almost like he didn't realize was even there behind him. And then when he sees her fall, like homeboy just straight up jumps out of the water. And I'm like, get your girl, Caleb. Look at her.
Had that always been your thought, like idea with Caleb, for him to have lost his dad and have this big, like, he needs to get this record, he wants to get this record, or was that like something that happened as you were writing him?
Yeah. Well, so I always plot before I start writing. So like when I actually was sitting down and starting to write, yes, it was the plan. But I'm trying to think, because this idea it's years old at this point, like that scene that I saw. And I want to say, I don't think Caleb's dad was dead originally when I first was coming up with the idea. But then I think he was like two-dimensional. He didn't have really anything. Like if he just only wins and like only wants more gold medals, it's kind of like what, like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he would have fallen flat. So then it was kind of like about giving him more purpose beyond just like winning that. And then it was like, and then that's, I think, kind of how the record and then like his dad passing kind of came into the mix. But to like keep that still anchored to the story, then like having Terrence be his coach then in that sense, that's kind of like how he came into the mix.
I think you did a really great job of showing both of the struggles that TJ and Caleb went through. And you know how sometimes it can be like a little off balance with both of them having problem. Like when two characters are both going through something, sometimes it more so focuses on one than the other. I think you did a really great job of balancing the two to where I felt emotionally invested in both of them in the end and what happens. And I actually cared. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Was Caleb your hardest hero to write so far?
Maybe I think it was starting out, I thought he was going to be the hardest, because I thought he was going to be like this kind of arrogant dude, like through and through. And then writing him, he became much more like sweet, I guess. I didn't like expect for him to really be like that. So then I think he got easier as I was writing, but I think definitely in the beginning he was, where like my other two, they are much more like very close to my heart, where Caleb was not as much.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking because I watched your writing vlog, so it was like, the other two are like what you would normally go for, and then you have this opposite.
I mean, I think that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, Caleb's just not like my obviously. I mean, if a Caleb in real life hit me up, I mean, that's a different story then. Just stereotypically, like in my head, like Walker is very much just kind of like an ideal guy, and then Hayden is just very much like dream guy energy, where Caleb, like, I don't know, he's like this cocky, arrogant athlete, and that's never been my type, like in real life at all. So yeah, I'd definitely say he was like a little trickier at first to get a hold of.
What about TJ compared to your other heroines? Was she easier or more difficult to write?
She's probably like second. Carter was my easiest. Hayden and Carter were just my easiest. Take My Hand was my easiest book. Like that was very, very easy to write. Carter was easiest. He did win his way in. Then I'd say TJ. Scar is by far my hardest to write so far. But TJ had her challenges. She was never really closed off, but it was more so in terms of her connection with Caleb in the beginning, right? Like with her not really liking him, it's hard to just balance like getting enough of them like talking and interacting while also not feeling like it's moving too quickly, of them like moving on from this kind of grudge that she's holding against him. But then once I got going with her, she was fairly easy.
Well, I know you said that the dialogue between them was like the easiest for you to write, like because they like to talk to each other.
Yeah, 100%. Their dialogue was so easy the entire book to write. I like never had a single issue when it came to writing them talking. It was then more like the internal stuff and kind of the in between. But yeah, they were just they wrote so easily. That's like I'm missing them because right now what I'm writing is not writing as easily as they were. And yeah, they chatted well with each other.
Wait, Jane and Nikolai aren't being nice to you?
I think I'm not being nice to them. I think I'm the issue right now. Yeah.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Michae about the book, about future books, anything? Lizelle, do you have any questions?
Well, I was just thinking, out of all the Whisper Me Nothing guys, I think Reed is gonna be my favorite because I love a tortured hero.
Aye.
I messaged McKay after the second book, and I was like, why can't Reed come next? I need his story.
He needs his time. He needs his time to marinate a bit.
Yeah.
I know we're not talking about that. We're talking about, but I was shocked that you had the band break up at the end of that book. I thought you were going to drag it out through all four, and then they were going to end up breaking up. Because I saw Cheyenne and Sam in at the Sweetgrass, and I was like, I'd finished it like that day, and I was like, I can't believe she broke the band up. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I messaged you. I said, oh, they broke up.
Yeah, that was not actually in the original plot structure. Like when I first kind of plotted out the books, they were not supposed to until the end of book 3. But it would have been too much, and there's too much other stuff with Reed in like book 4 that it's like it would have been too much to break them up and get them back to.
Oh, McKay.
I feel like that's not like. Sorry, that's what did I say? I can't. I'm so bad at not doing spoilers, and that includes my own. So I did just not talk about that.
I just can't talk.
It would have been just a lot to do in one book, so had to be bumped up. You know, here is where I will exercise my self-control. Yes, and it's a favorite trope, but I will not say anything more. But yes, I will do more sports.
So, coach athlete.
I say no more.
It definitely won't be a secret baby. You can...
Listen, if there's something that you can guarantee I'll never write, it'll be a secret baby. Like you'd be more likely to get a cowboy out of me before you get a baby out of me.
I have a question. Okay, so when you plot out your characters, because to me, for them to be so like have all the dimensions that they need, is there a certain like, do you picture a certain person? Do you have like, and honestly, not even like a celebrity, maybe even someone you like, how do you pick up on what they're going to look like, the facets of their personality? Like what is that process like for you in creating each character individually and unique?
Yeah, they come to me fairly fully formed in terms of like a lot of the general things like looks, name, at least like first name. I never have to choose a first name. They just like always show up. But that was just something that in this book with TJ Tuesday, Cheyenne knows this. I had texted her and I was like, I need you to be completely honest with me. How much do you hate the name Tuesday? Because I thought everyone was going to like rip it apart. I was like, everyone's going to hate this name. And I tried to change it and I changed it in an outline and it just was wrong. It was wrong. That's just not her name. So then that's how TJ got to be TJ instead of fully going with Tuesday full send. But they come to me with a lot of their characteristics, I'd say, like personality and kind of like looks and name fully formed. But then it's more so than listening to music and like that is big for me in terms of getting a sense of their personality. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I'll just be like listening to, like, I go on a lot of walks and like I'll just be listening to my Spotify and a song will come up and I'll be like, oh, this feels like Scar. And like that goes to her playlist. That kind of goes to building her out a little bit more. Was that did that answer everything, or was there something else that I'm forgetting?
No, that was great.
Okay, thank you. It's the end of a Monday. I'm like, I don't know if I answered every part of that.
Okay, I have a question. So your covers are all gorgeous. How many like different drafts do you get of like mock-ups do you get of like the covers before you decide on like your final one?
Yeah, so Take You Down, that was only 2. It was pretty much the same. It was just the middle guy got swapped out for a different guy. Take My Hand, that was a one and done. I think we just had to change something on the back of it had drums on the back of the cover, and we changed that out for the camera and butterflies. So that was, I guess, then technically 2. Starting Line went through a lot more variations. I want to say, actually, I think I still have them in like an album on my phone. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this was number 6. I mean, now granted, the last few were very similar, and then it was just changing colors a little bit more. But the first concept, I won't like show it because that's like
I
cover. But it was kind of similar, but it was a different balance beam, but it still had like the pool on the bottom and everything. And then we did try a person on one of them, and that didn't work for this one before we got to this. And then it was like just about adding in the little like pops of the Olympic ring colors and the green, red, and yellow around it. So it's fairly easy, but I was most nervous about this one just because discrete covers are not normally my personal preference when it comes to books. Like, I'm really, really partial to people covers, but I kind of felt like for this one, I didn't know how to feature like both TJ and Caleb, and it felt like equally their book. So I didn't want to just do like a guy. I didn't just want to do a girl. So discrete kind of felt like, or not to object, I guess, whatever you want to call it, kind of felt like the right move for this one.
Yeah, I agree because I love I love the male covers, but I do feel like if you would have put, because I felt even though it was equally their book, like, and they both were so good at what they did. Whereas like with the Whisper Me Nothings, the guys are in a band, like that's their, the heroines have their own things that they do, but the whole thing is about the band. Like it's the band is the overarching, it brings them all together. Whereas this is a standalone following both of these two Olympic athletes. You can't just feature one.
Yeah, that wouldn't have felt right. And that's why I liked with the Dark and Quirky then Take You Down cover was that then we got to do like Scar having her moment. Because out of all the books, I feel like she deserved her own moment on a cover. And then I liked being able to have that one.
Cover is amazing.
Oh, and that was a one and done.
That is so pretty. They got Sky right to a T. And when I picture Sky, that's her.
Yeah.
I see that cover.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was like when I was able to get signed up for that month, I was like, yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it.
It's gorgeous.
It is.
Anyone else have anything? Did you see Sam's comment about give me a baby?
I think the closest thing you'll get from me for a baby is an epilogue baby.
I was gonna say,
maybe, like, hey, Whisper Me Nothing's epilogue, like 10 years down the line, you might see some babies in that, but otherwise, I don't think you're getting a baby in a story.
I have another question. How do you think, I guess, like it's different from our side looking in, but how do you feel like your life like has changed going from just being a booktuber to going from booktuber to author and then still doing booktube at the same time? Like, have you, I don't know, I mean, I guess maybe pros and cons to it, or have there been challenges? Has it been easy? Have you been loving it? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, I love it. I'm happy that I did it. I definitely contemplated like doing a pen name. I mean, obviously, like, Michae Marie is not my legal name, but like doing an actual pen name, like not telling anyone that I was writing, just to kind of be able to keep more of that like other side to it. But that just like that would have never felt right. It wouldn't have worked that way. But then when I decided, obviously, it's kind of like disconnected me away in a bit on like the creator side of things, just because like I'm not, you know, in that space totally anymore. So it's definitely it doesn't feel the same to me anymore, and it has like shifted my content, obviously, that I create. I don't like, I only talk about books that I love and would recommend, where before I would talk about like every book that I read because I was a reviewer, and that was fair, like as a reviewer sharing like my full thoughts. But now I would never want to use my platform to like bash on another author's work or anything. So it's changed content wise. And it's also just like in my everyday life, it's obviously made it busier. And I feel like I used to put, not that I don't like doing it, like I still like making booktube videos, I still like making Instagram content, whatever, but it's not like my sole form of joy in terms of like the book side of things. Now that is very much so taken over by writing. Takes up a lot more time. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely like shifted things in terms of just like my place, I guess. I don't really have like a set kind of like space that I was in or that I'm in like I used to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many books do you have planned out after this one? I mean, obviously we have the next two Whisper Me Nothings books, but do you have anything else planned? Do you have one in between the next two? Do you have?
Yeah, I won't say any like release dates or anything, but I'm thinking, so I am planning, obviously I've announced Take What You Want will be next, book 3 in Whisper Me Nothings. Then I think there's going to be a standalone book that will be in between that. And then Take Me Home, which is the final book in Whisper Me Nothings. I've also like, I've talked about it in videos. I don't really know if I've like said anywhere. I am going to write a Walker and Scar novella, but that will come out after Take Me Home. Haven't released any more details about that. That'll come. But I think at least that's like my next kind of like projects lined up. But then past that point, like I have a lot of ideas. It's more than just kind of picking and choosing what's talking to me or like who's talking to me the most.
But Jane and Nikolai are causing you problems right now.
Like I said, it's not them, it's me. It's me. I mean, if you watched my starting line vlog, the end of like I love this book. I'm very proud of this book, but like the ending process of this book took a bit of a toll on me, and I feel like it's just kind of lingering in this drafting process a little bit more than like I had with the other 3 books that I'd written previously. So, you know, they're chugging away slowly but surely.
Past to present can be hard. Because I know not a lot of people like too many, like a lot of past chapters.
Yeah. It's been tricky. It's a lot of fun writing Second Chance because I feel like it's creating a lot of like angst in the present between them, because like there's 9 years worth of hurt between the two of them. But like Lizelle said, it's tricky balancing how many flashbacks to making it that you care about them enough as a couple of who they were back 9 years ago to understand the pain and to understand the level of conflict between them without feeling like you're getting bogged down in the past and being like, okay, I don't really care about these people 9 years ago. I care about them now, and that's where I want to be with them. Yeah. So that it's definitely been very tricky.
Have we met Reed's heroine?
No.
Okay.
And you won't.
Go back and like, no, you don't meet her in the next book either?
No.
Okay.
Nope. She will be making her appearance in her book. And yeah.
Okay. I'm excited.
That is something. If I say the tropes for that book, it gives it away. So that's why, like, I will be keeping those very close to the chest until it's like time to announce them. But I think it'll be fitting for, you know, I don't know. I need to just not talk because I will accidentally spoil something. So, anyways, it'll be fun time. I'm looking forward to his book.
I can't wait. I'm like, can time speed up because I need his book. Like,
I think a lot of people would just be happy. They'd be like, can skip Jane and Nikolai, just get right to it.
No, I love Jane.
I'm excited. Second Chance is my favorite.
I like Jane and Nikolai. I'm just very interested in reading.
Yeah.
I love that you made Jane tall. I'm just like, oh, I'm excited to read about like a girl my height.
Fellow tall girl, I know. And already I had like a part where she's wearing her heels and she's like almost the same height as Nikolai. It's like,
where are the heels, girl? Where are the heels?
You got to get something for the tall girls in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, Reed is obviously, because Reed and Nikolai are super close.
Yeah.
That you do get a lot more of Reed probably in this book than you have in either of the previous ones. So even though the band is not together, he's around quite a bit.
Well, like I just wanted it because I knew, like, I figured from the first book that Jane and Nikolai would be together, and then obviously Hayden and Carter were, like, you could tell from that. So I was just like, had we met Reed's heroine, or are we gonna? But we're not going to. So that'll be fun. Because I was like, do I need to go back and reread and figure out who his heroine is?
Yeah. She will be making her grand entrance in probably chapter 1 or 2. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything? Lizelle, any more questions or comments?
No.
Cheyenne, anything else?
I don't think so. I'm just excited. I'm happy for you. So glad everybody's getting to read this. It's my favorite.
Oh, I will say, McKenna, I can't wait for you to read the next part in Will and Way's book. Because if you love the first part of their book, I'm telling you, you'll love the second part of their book.
Yeah.
I'm just getting into because I just want to know your reaction.
I literally have it sitting right here. Oh, it's out of her. Oh, no, it's right there. Yeah, I just mentally need to be in a good space to pick up that second book, but I'm very excited to read. Also, this slump has been like destroying me, so I don't want to take that out on Will and Way, but I will for sure finish their duet at some point.
Yeah, I think Lizelle messages me like once a week, like, when are you going to read it? What do I need to read?
It's so good. It's the most angstiest MM romance I've ever read. I kept telling McKay, it's the most angsty MM romance I've ever read in my life. And it's Rockstar, so I knew she was going to love it.
Yeah. That first book, I totally thought I read it in December, like middle of December, I think, last year, and I totally thought that I had my top 10 list set for the year, and then that just demolished it, and I think ended up being like my 5th or 6th favorite book. Like that was, it's so good. So
I still need to read Garen Park. Every time I like start a book, I'm like, oh, I should have started Garen Park, and then I just
Cheyenne.
I know. Right now I'm in age gap, so we'll see.
And I put in your little question box today.
I have it downloaded.
What are you guys currently reading? Okay, you said you're in a slump.
I am in a slump, but I'm in a big slump. But I just started Wild Like Us, the 8th book in the Like Us series by Kristen Becker-Ritchie, and I am really liking it so far. So hopefully I'm feeling like good momentum.
Those books always get you out of a slump.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it'll pull me out.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm trying to find what I'm reading. I don't remember the name of it.
Start something new on the plane.
Well, okay, so what did I read on the plane? Hold on. I think I paid for it. It's called Ruined by M. James, and it's a mafia arranged marriage. They like meet, she's trying to lose her virginity before she gets arranged to marry this guy. So they go to Ibiza, and he's this big time billionaire. He's looking for a good time. They meet in a club. Like the initial scene is like them like catching eyes in a club. Super hot night together. And then they end up actually spending the whole week together. and then like they don't exchange like personal information. And then she goes back home, and then the man she's supposed to marry is him, but he's totally different, like back in the States. But oh, it was so good. It was so good. So I read that, loved that. And then I read, it's called Saving Grace by A.D. Justice or something like that. I have been craving like marriage in trouble with cheating. Like I just want like that kind of angst. It was awful. Yeah. But so I read that, and now I'm reading, hold on, some sports romance. I don't even remember what it's called. And I think I paid for it. So I don't know. Some sports romance. It's fine. It's a hockey. Nothing great, but yeah, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I want to read that.
I am currently reading it. I'm not very far. I've read like 2 chapters, but it's good so far.
I'm reading the second book in Julia Wolf's Savage Crew series. It's her high school bullying romance, because I have to read things in order, and it's a whole universe, and I cannot skip.
I totally get that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't like skipping either.
Especially if you have intention of reading all of it anyways, so you might as well start from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with Jane and Nikolai's book, I'm going to have to like say, like, I think you should read the first. Like, I kind of am like, you could jump in to Take My Hand if you want to. Like, I don't think you have to read Take You Down to read Take My Hand, but I'm kind of getting to the point with this one where I'm like, I think you need to have read the first, at least like Take My Hand. I'm like, I think you got to have at least read one of them, because it's hard to write like expecting that either people know nothing or people know everything. Like I think about that with the Legacy of God series by Rena Kent. Like I don't get how some people just pick up like book 5 and just read that one. I'm like, is that not confusing?
I was confused when I jumped in the middle of the series, and
you went to God of Ruin, right? Which is the 4th one. Like, yeah, that's, I don't know. I feel like
that's probably part of why I didn't love it. That probably had a big thing to do with it. But I think with Take You Down, I think it's like really important to read that one, because you see like that initial conflict with the band, like more so with them, like how they interact with each other. I think that was when I was like really learning about, okay, these are where the problems lie with them. These are like why they're having their issues. And then to like, you know, jump in to Take My Hand and to like have the stuff that happens at the end, it just makes things make a little more sense.
Yeah.
Well, and by the time we get to Reed's book, you're going to have all of that, because you're going to want to jump into that book because he's the antagonist of these other 2.
Yeah.
I think you should read all the books regardless, because you see from the start how the band is at the start, and they slowly start to break apart with each book. So it wouldn't make sense if you just jump into Jane and Nikolai's book.
Yeah.
But you also did a good job in writing it as a standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a harder sell, right, to readers to then tell them like, hey, you have a new book coming out, but then hey, also by the way, you have to go back and read 2 others before you read this one. So like I think initially with Jane and Nikolai's, I was trying to make it more of a standalone. And I think I'm kind of reaching the point that I'm just like, you gotta almost have a little bit of the background. Reed's book for sure. That's like I wouldn't even market that one as a standalone, because his character arc has started 3 books ago by the time that we get to him.
Well, but I mean, I think about most, like, I mean, I just finally read Caught Up. I wouldn't have wanted to go into that without having read Mile High and Right Move. Even though I didn't love either, like, I didn't love Mile High, I still felt like I had to read those, and I had to read that Caught Up before I could read Play Along, because I knew that it was his brother, and it's like you kind of you want to get all of I want as much backstory as I can get about people, like...
Yeah, but for someone who's never read anything from an author, and if they're just searching on KU or like looking for a book that has the tropes that they want, I could see how, and I do that a lot. I sometimes, like, there was an Ava Simmons book that I literally read the 4th book, and I'm like, I loved that couple so much that I honestly don't, and even in that book, I'm like, I care nothing about reading the other ones. But I think that might have spoiled it a little bit for me in a way, because now I'm like, I have no desire, because I already know what happens in the end too. But it's still read as a standalone to where I wasn't confused, but I knew that other things had happened. I just didn't care enough because I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Well, yeah, I think you could go, like, even if you just read Take My Hand and you didn't go back and read both, like, you get enough backstory and you get, like, yeah, you don't see, like, Jane and Nikolai's first re-interaction because you get that in Take My Hand, or Take You Down.
Mhm.
But you do see that they have that dinner of everyone, like, and so say, like, being like, oh, go back and just read the one. I mean, they're not overly, I mean, maybe because I just read fast, but they're not overly long. Like, it's not like you're asking someone to read a 750-page book before picking up this other book. Like,
Yeah. Which actually, that dinner scene from Take My Hand, which was like one of my favorites, right in that, I just, a few weeks ago, I wrote that scene, but then from Jane and Nikolai's kind of perspective, because like obviously in that scene, you kind of like see that like them and Reed got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that's like a flashback chapter is then the end of that dinner scene and then kind of like the aftermath with the three of them. And that's like, I think like that's payoff that you get if you read the other books, right?
The dinner scene in Take My Hand got me emotional.
Yeah. Me too. I like that scene.
Take My Hand made me cry. Like, I was sobbing on the airplane.
I mean, I love, right, we're here for Starting Line. I love Starting Line. I think this is the book I'm proudest of, but Take My Hand is, that's, I think like forever, that's going to be like my book.
No, I definitely love Starting Line. But yeah, and this is different for you. Like, you are in, like, you've always liked rock stars and you've been more into the music scene, like, is more your jam than like for me, like, if I were to ever become an author, a sports romance would make sense because I've always been into sports and like it would just be like athletes are my type. So it wouldn't be that weird. Whereas for you, like, this was more of a challenge than writing what you're used to.
Yeah. Where I do think for like future sports romance books, you know, I have the sport picked out and it's my favorite sport. So at least I know my stuff with that one a little bit.
Was it daunting to you to do all that Olympic research? Because I know nothing about the Olympics. I just watched the gymnastics part.
Yeah, it felt like I was back in college, like writing a research. It like honestly gave me like flashbacks. I was like, oh, yeah, I had to do a lot of just like basic background research in terms of how the Olympics work. And then I was also trying to like make sure that there was some sense of realism in terms of like him having an event at the same time as TJ did. And like, if you checked the Paris schedule, actually, that does line up. Like, I didn't need to be factual, right? But I wanted it to be based in reality. And yeah, there was a lot of just research, not only in the sports individually, but then and like the way that the Olympics are run. That not even a lot of it made it in, but it's more like the background knowledge of it that I needed in my head as I was writing.
A lot of the reviews that people have left are like kudos to how great your research has been. So you can tell you put in the work.
Because obviously I've steered clear. I don't look at Amazon. I don't look at Goodreads. I don't look at any of that. Good. So that is very good to know because that was a lot of time.
Which is fabulous. So
I'll take it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because I haven't seen any negative.
No. I'm just so proud of you.
You can go away. Yeah. No, it was fun to read. I just it was one of those books that like I kept like putting off reading it because I mean I had the arc, but I was like, I don't want to read it because I wasn't in like a headspace to read it, and I was like, I don't want that to affect it because I was just like I was in like a major life slump for the first part of July, and I was like, I know if I read this, like I want to get my best like mindset to it, and then once I sat down and read it, I was like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
But it took me I didn't finish it till release day, and I like hate doing that, but I was like, I just can't. I don't want to do that to Michae. Like,
I will always understand that because I am a mood reader first and foremost. Like, as you were saying, Lizelle, book 2 with Will and Way, I don't want to take my mood out on them right now because
you shouldn't read it when you're asleep because it gets emotional.
Yeah.
The axe just kept going into book 2 and it doesn't stop until like 60% of the book. So you need to be in the right headspace for that. But the HA is like worth it. It's worth all the tears.
Yeah. Yeah. So I Melissa, you saying that you wanted to wait, I totally understand that because I don't ever want to do that to certain books that I'm like, I feel like I'm going to love you. Even like Penelope Douglas's newest releases, haven't read either of them because I've been in a slump and I don't want to take them out.
You haven't read them. No. That's not like you.
No, I've never been behind on one of their releases since like 2020. So
has your reading slowed down a lot since you started writing? Like because you have less time, I'm assuming like your reading time goes into writing.
Yeah, 100%. It's slowed down. I think I read 200 books. I don't think it was last year, the year before. And then because last year was when I was writing Take You Down and then Take My Hand, that's when it started to slow down. And this year it's definitely slowed down even more so because then it's not only like writing and plotting, these books, but then even as I'm writing Starting Line and like editing that one, I'm plotting Jane and Nikolai, but then I'm also like marketing Starting Line while also still trying to like market Whisper Me Nothings. And I just, reading out of all like book things, that has had to kind of take a back seat at times.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to be careful what you read too, because you don't want any outside influence, I'm sure, when you're writing. So
like I don't read Rockstar when I'm writing Whisper Me Nothing. So I've stopped that like all together while I'm writing these. Just because I don't want any, even though like I have the entire like entire and everything kind of like set, I just still don't want anything like influence.
I was with S. Massery over the weekend, and she was basically telling me the same thing. She was like, she reads fantasy. She's like, because honestly, like if I have any type of angst in a book or anything like that, like I don't want anything to, even though it like, she's like, I feel like I wouldn't do that, but sometimes you go to do it and you don't even realize you're doing it. So you just have to like, you have to take yourself out of that and not even give yourself the space to even risk it. So I get it.
Yeah, I will say that will be a bummer when I'm plotting the standalone in between one of my favorite things, and then I won't be able to read it. So like, that'll kind of suck for the time being, but you don't want to like risk that at all.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yes. You definitely have 3 fans. That
Sam's here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Sam. But well, I mean, obviously Cheyenne is one of your alpha readers, but Lizelle and I are we're there for any release you have.
And I appreciate that a lot because I obviously know it's like a lot. Not like, I mean, with Cheyenne being an alpha reader, like that's hard. She's getting these books in their worst forms, right? Because it's like the earliest drafts, like unproofread. I've never even read through them. And to then like ask her for feedback, not only on a book that is in its roughest form, but then also in a friend's work. And like I feel like we've reiterated it now on book 3 of being like, she knows she can tell me like when something's not working and like that's not gonna like hurt us at all. But even like them with you guys being ARC readers, like that's huge, to already have people wanting to read them before they're even out. Because at the end of the day, like I just want people to read them so the fact that you guys want to read them early even is like just, it's insane. It's insane to me. So
me and Melissa will read any book you put out.
Well, you guys can be ready for Jane and Nikolai if they get on time. If they get on time, you guys can be ready for them. And I don't even want to think about how many months away that is. So.
Well, my kids go back to school on Monday, so I'm gonna be hounding your ass.
It's if you guys watch the Starting Line vlog, I was like rushed. I wrote the last like half of that book in 2 weeks, basically. We might be having a repeat of that. Honestly, we will see. It's bad. It's bad right now. We'll see.
Well, you're still working, so it's like you have to make time where you can. Give yourself grace.
Was Starting Line your most emotionally draining book? From your vlogs, it seemed like it was.
Yeah, it did seem like that.
Yeah, I'd say Yes, I'd say Take You Down was also emotionally draining, but in a different way. It was more like filled with a lot of doubt just because I had never done it before. And it was just kind of like, am I actually capable of doing this? But Take My Hand, breeze. That was completely different. Starting Line, yeah, I would say it definitely was emotionally draining. I think because it was filled with a lot of doubt, not just like being something different, being book 3 and kind of feeling like, is this what I should be doing right now kind of thing. And then with the challenges of I was moving, I was releasing Take My Hand, and then I was on a family vacation where my laptop got broken. So then I was like out of commission at a time when I like couldn't really afford that. So yeah, there were like 2 solid weeks of my life where I finished drafting that I literally didn't do like anything. I kept my phone in do not disturb. I didn't like talk to anyone. I didn't really like leave my apartment. Like I worked during the day and I wrote at night, and that was like my life for 2 solid weeks, and that was very draining, and I don't want to do that again. And I think I've gotten myself in that situation again, so that's really fun. Really love that.
Well, but you haven't officially announced a release date for.
Yeah, I did because I'm like locked into editing deadlines, so I felt good about announcing a release date. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to like be patient with myself. Like Cheyenne said, I'm trying to like give myself some grace with it. So I think if I have to push it back a little bit, I mean, first of all, though, editing deadlines are editing deadlines. I will have to talk to my editor if I'm actually going to like need to bump those out and around. But I'm holding back on that conversation right now because I am still hoping that I can just really pull something out.
You can do it.
So do you send your editor after you've sent to like Cheyenne and Sam? You send your editor those so they get it first, and then your editor gets those edits?
Yeah. So on Starting Line, I ended up having 5 alpha readers who read it, gave me feedback on it, and then I incorporated that's more like developmental, kind of like overarching story stuff, character things that don't make sense, kind of catching that. And then I do my own edits, obviously looking for those same things, catching like timeline discrepancies, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, by the time that goes to my editor, it's already been through one round of like self edits and like alpha edits. And then by the time it gets to her, then that's when we're getting more into like the rephrasing, cutting, word choice, and then obviously then it gets to proof and whatever. So yeah, when budgeting timeline wise, that's why even though my editing deadline isn't until almost the end of September to turn next book in, I kind of need to have it done by like the end of August to allow for that time to do with the alpha readers and developmental stuff.
So, yeah, I'm excited.
Cheyenne's like, I'm ready whenever you give to me.
I'm excited too.
Have you used the same editor for the last 2 books, or for this Starting Line and this one, or have you used a different editor?
Yes, it's the same editor. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Oh, like she already knows you. You develop a relationship with her, so that's good.
Yeah. Yep, and same cover designer as the first. So Starting Line was a different cover designer, but Take What You Want is back with the same cover designer. And actually, I think I should be seeing something fairly soon. She had just messaged me that she was going to have a mock-up ready of that one. So very excited to see that.
Oh, your covers are very pretty. And
thank you.
They're gorgeous. Yeah.
So Haya from Haya and Designs, she does the Whispering Nothing ones. And then Kate from Y'all That Graphics, she did Starting Line, and I'm completely happy with both. So obviously I'm back with Haya for Whispering Nothings just to keep that consistent, but I'm hoping to work with Kate again, hopefully, on the standalone that I'll do after Take What You Want.
Do you have your colors for the next 2 Whispering Nothings? Like, because obviously, like, the first one was more like greens, and then the second one was more like reds.
Yeah, so Walker and Scar were green and purple. Hayden and Carter are red and orange. Jane and Nikolai are yellow and pink, or like kind of like more gold and pink. And then Reed and so is like dark blue and like a turquoise. So obviously we haven't started on that cover at all, but at least in terms of my color scheme and like character boards and stuff, yeah, they've all had those like distinct colors to them. So. Yay.
But yeah. Thank you guys for joining. I know it was kind of thrown out last minute, but things happened, and I was like, oh yeah, we gotta. I wanted to do this, so
Yeah, thank you for doing it. I appreciate it.
thank you
Thanks
guys.
for inviting me.
We'll have to do another one for maybe not for the next book, but we'll have to do one for Reed's book.
By the end, yeah, he will be a boatload of fun.
I mean, we might have to do one for Nikolai and Jane too, but definitely Reed.
Yeah, he'll need his own. He'll need his own show.
His probably be like 2 hours of me just.
Well, because it'll be a mix. At least you guys like him. I have one friend who like hates him, and she's like, I genuinely don't even know how you're like. She's fully convinced that she's not even gonna like him in his books. So.
Oh, I mean, I hate him right now too, but I know he's gonna. I know there's something going on deeper. Like I know.
You know the romance formula. You know, gotta hate him before you like him sometimes.
Yeah.
I always love a tortured hero, so from day one I knew he was going through something, so that's why I know we're gonna get an explanation of his book. So
Yeah.
He's not without his reasons.
Thank you all, and thank you in the comments. Sam, thanks for holding down the comments. And yeah, I will see you all. I'll do Michae's. Leave. See you when I see ya. Michae's sign off.
Yep.
So, thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
bye.